the Monster Mania convention, Sam and I got home, and it was only a few days later that we found out that Lauren was going to go visit Jennifer in her house in Chicago, a house that they regularly referred to as the murder house. So understandably, we had our concerns. Now, Sam and I did try to talk to Lauren and talk her out of it because obviously, knowing what we already knew, this didn't sound like it was going to be a good situation for Lauren. No matter what we told Lauren or said to her, tried to persuade her into just changing her mind, she absolutely wouldn't. Even though I really didn't try to mince my words, and I said to her, I'm like, if you go there, she's probably going to assault you. And Lauren even agreed to some extent that it wasn't a good idea and that it probably wasn't safe, but she was going to go anyway. And it should be noted that Lauren had never seen Jennifer before this point. Like, Jennifer never did face chat, like where you could see her face. She only ever did voice chat. And this went for everybody in the group. This included Lauren, this included Roxy, this was for everyone. Because Jennifer had some weird story that she had people who were stalking her, specifically her ex-boyfriend. And she said if a picture of her ever got online or something, then people would recognize her and they'd send it to her boyfriend and he'd come after her and he's very dangerous. She had this really long and drawn out story about, I think she would say something about how he tried to strangle her at some point and she was put in the hospital and he beat her so badly she was in some sort of chemically induced coma. And then that's how she met her current partner, Hannibal, because I guess Hannibal allegedly worked at the hospital or something like that. And at some point confronted the boyfriend and threatened to beat his ass if he ever came after Jennifer again. That was kind of the summary of the story that Jennifer would tell. I mean, it's been 10 years and that's kind of like the highlights of what I remember. I can't say that it's exact because a lot of times when she would tell this story, she would tell it for no reason. It took forever. And like I said in another video, I tended to put her on mute and leave and go do other things and wait for her to shut up. So I'm not sure I ever got the full extent of the story because I never really listened to her. I just know that part of it was something about an abusive ex, and if she ever showed her face online, then he would hunt her down and kill her or something. So that's why she wouldn't show her face to anybody, and she wouldn't even send pictures out because she was like so paranoid. Obviously, she wouldn't say that it was because of the Final Fantasy VII thing and that people would know her from that, but her story was still very weird, and Sam and I kind of agreed that whatever her reasoning was, it wasn't what she was telling people, and it had to be a lot worse. And we theorized it was probably because she committed a crime, or there were warrants out for her, or maybe she had even escaped like a mental facility and she was supposed to be there, and that's why she didn't want her picture out. Not because of an ex-boyfriend. Even Jennifer's partner at the time, whoever this Hannibal person was, had told me and Sam that the story that Jennifer told about her boyfriend was entirely false. And that this boyfriend didn't exist and wasn't coming after her, that Jennifer didn't have stalkers. All he would say was that it wasn't true. And that's the only version of events that I ever got behind that. So what we're looking at here is a close to 40-year-old woman at that point inviting a 18-year-old girl from Utah to drive to her house with Roxy. And Lauren used all her own money to fund this. She paid for all the gas. She took Roxy with her. She spent like a couple $1,000s on this entirely, but I'll get into more of that later. So there was this whole plan made that if Lauren got there and felt unsafe or something bad happened, Sam would come and get her, because where I lived at the time and where Sam lived at the time, we were closer to where she was than going back to Utah if there was emergency or something and she needed some sort of support. So the plan was made, and that was the best we could do because we knew we weren't going to be able to stop her from going on this trip because Roxy and Jennifer kind of had her brainwashed into believing that she was part of this group or whatever the hell. The next things that happen, it's kind of like a two-part story because things happen at the same time. So I have to explain each one of these things. The first thing that happened was that at some point after this plan was made, but before Lauren actually left to go meet Jennifer, Jennifer had sent in all this artwork for Brian Fuller's birthday, because that had been like the plan was to get, I think, like 6 or 7 artists to do all these birthday cards and paintings and stuff and send it to the Hannibal writers and the Hannibal staff and Brian Fuller specifically. Now, at some point, Jennifer actually did send this in, but a tweet went out to her and to Lauren to thank her and Lauren for the birthday gift, and nobody else. Because Jennifer didn't credit anybody else. Jennifer didn't credit any of the other artists. The only people she credited was herself, who didn't do any art whatsoever. All she did was mail the art. And then Lauren, who only did some of the art. As you can imagine, all of the artists were very pissed off about this because none of them got recognition or a thank you or anything. And they all just thought that it was a gift from Jennifer and from Lauren. And at that point, Sam was like, okay, I'm done with her. You can tell her off. And that was when I decided to stop being nice, like I was being, and I decided that I was going to write her an email and tell her off. Well, I also knew that the fandom and Jennifer and everybody else specifically had this way of twisting my words out of context. So what I did was I wrote a draft of an email that I intended to send to Jennifer. And then I sent it to Sam first. And I said, can you look this over and make sure that it doesn't come across as threatening or dangerous or whatever? My intention was never to be threatening or dangerous or anything else. I wasn't trying to be nice, but what I was worried about was that Jennifer would twist everything out of context because that's what everybody always did to me. So I had to phrase what I wrote carefully. And I figured that if I had somebody else read it first and tell me if it was okay or not, then I would be in better standing. So Sam did read it first and gave me a few notes on what to change. And mostly all that was suggested was that I remove a few cuss words. But other than that, it was fine and I should go ahead and send it. I happened to send this letter on her birthday, or what she claims her birthday is. Because I don't actually know when Jennifer's real birthday is, but what she was claiming it was when she was in the Hannibal fandom was October 30th. I sent off this email, and then I left town. I went to go to a convention, and Sam was going to the same convention, and we were going to meet up there. So I didn't really think much of it because I was traveling, and I wasn't really checking my social media or my email or whatever. I was just gonna go have fun at this convention. I went to the convention, and then later that night I was taking Sam out for dinner because it was a late birthday dinner, and because it wasn't her actual birthday, it was late, but I said, you know, I'm gonna be in town anyway, I'll take you out for your birthday. And Sam was like, okay, that sounds great. And we're sitting in the restaurant, and Sam is getting rapid fire texts over and over and over, and they're all from Lauren. And Lauren is saying that she didn't like it there, she didn't feel comfortable there, that she wanted to go home. And Sam was trying to calm her down and find out what was happening and what was going on. And as it turns out, Jennifer had apparently gotten my email and freaked out and was threatening to unalive herself and all of this. And she had locked herself in the bathroom, and she had been in there for hours. And she said she wasn't going to come out unless Lauren agreed to cuddle her and kiss her and stroke her hair and calm her down, which Lauren didn't want to do because Lauren wasn't sexually into Jennifer whatsoever. At first, Lauren thought it was kind of funny that I sent this email and it made Jennifer freak out so much because she thought it was stupid. But then it wasn't so funny anymore because it had been hours and Jennifer was still locked in the bathroom, and there was only one bathroom for 3 or 4 people who were there. Finally, I don't really actually know what happened on Lauren's end, but finally, Sam was at a point where there was going to be this whole plan that Sam left and went and picked up Lauren, and Lauren would be safe because Lauren seemed to want that to happen. And then there was kind of silence, and then Lauren said everything was okay. And there wasn't really any details after that point. when I was there with Sam. And Sam thought it was kind of weird that Lauren would change her tune so quickly after being so freaked out and upset and saying that she wanted to go home. But Lauren was an adult, and there really wasn't anything that any of us could do to make her leave if she said she was fine. We kind of forgot about it. We finished up dinner, and I went back to my hotel room. The next day, Jennifer got on Skype and confronted me and pretended like that email was like a joke to her. Like, oh, it didn't hurt her feelings, and that I'm such a loser, and all of this stuff. But she didn't know that I was in contact with Sam, who was in contact with Lauren, and Lauren was telling Sam all this stuff. So she had no idea that I knew those details, that I knew that it had upset her and that she had basically threatened to take her own life because of what I said. So I thought it was funny because I knew that whenever she confronted me, she was going to pretend like it didn't affect her, like it was no big deal, because her biggest thing with me was like to always say that I was just jealous or something. And that is exactly what she said. She's like, oh, you only sent that because you're jealous and you wish you could be me and you wish you were friends with Brian Fuller and Laura Jean and the whole cast of Hannibal and blah, blah, whatever. And I'm just thinking, no, I just really fucking hate you. Like, everybody fucking hates you. And that's just kind of the truth. So I let her play it off however she wanted because I knew that she wasn't telling the truth anyway, and that's all that really mattered, is that I knew, and I didn't really have to rub it in her face or whatever. And it was obviously at that point where she decided that she wasn't going to talk to me anymore. But this is very much not the end of the story, because if it was, I think I still would have been fine. I think if that had been the end of this, and that's all that ever happened, my life would be pretty okay and unaffected by this. But it gets a lot worse from there, because when I got home, I started to get details of Lauren's trip and what was actually going on at Jennifer's house. And to put it bluntly, most of it was absolutely terrifying.